Good evening, everyone. This is Eunice, Nurse Eunice with Florida Training Academy. And in this evening's video, we're going to be discussing safety skills for CNAs and caregivers. We spend so much time preparing you to pass your tests so that you can start working. But what happens if you're working alone, home health aide, or CNA, and there's an emergency? I want to make sure that you know how to handle those emergencies so that you can keep yourself and also your patient safe. And so I do apologize for starting late, but we're going to get started in 10 seconds. All right, team. Question number 1. The fire alarm in your nursing home begins ringing. Nobody on your unit is in immediate danger. You must now blank. A, evacuate the patients laterally. B, evacuate the patients vertically. C, close the patient doors. Or D, open the patient's doors. There is a fire. No one's in immediate danger. What do you do? Revealing the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, and everybody has it. Zebene, Adelina, France, and Helen, Kay Wong, and Anna Kay. Yes, it is C. You're going to close the patient doors. So you can close the patient doors to prevent smoke from entering the rooms. You do not evacuate patients until you are instructed to do so. And don't forget the RACE. That is an acronym we use whenever there's a fire. So if someone's in immediate danger, the first thing you do is second hasn't pulled the alarm. A would be to alarm, or if you need to call 911, A could also mean alert. C would be to contain the fire by closing off the doors, closing the doors. Most of the doors are fire resistant. And E would be the final letter. If you cannot extinguish the fire with a fire extinguisher, that is when you would evacuate the building. Question number 2, everybody. The nurse directs you to assist in opening the airway of a resident in respiratory failure. In what position should the resident be placed? A, prone, B, supine, C, lateral, or D, semi-Fowlers? A patient is in respiratory failure, and you have to open the airway. I see B's, I see D's. All right, revealing the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, and everybody, it is B, supine. So we're beyond sitting this person up, seeing if they can, their breathing will improve just due to position changes. This person is now in respiratory failure. They're more than likely going to be intubated, or they need to be bagged. So the resident should be placed on his or her back. You remove the pillow and you open that airway with the head tilt, chin lift maneuver. Question 3. You are a home health aide. You are driving your patient to the grocery store and the drugstore for shopping. As you are driving, you feel the earth shake. What is the first thing you should do? Your options are A, drive the car to an area surrounded by tall buildings so you can be protected and safe. B, drive the car to the nearest police station so the police officers can help your patient. C, stop the car away from tall buildings and get the patient and yourself on the floor of the car. D, stop the car regardless of where you are and call 911 about this emergency to ensure safety. Now, I'm in Florida and we don't have a lot of tornadoes here. But for those of you who are in areas that have a lot of tornadoes, I know you know the answer. So we'll reveal the response. Or this one was about a tornado, a hurricane, an earthquake. So many different disasters we're going to be discussing. Revealing the correct response in 3, 2, and yes, with an earthquake, you want to get down. You want to get away from the tall buildings. You don't want to stop near a building. If you stop your car near a building, the building could collapse. So you and your resident or patient should get to the floor of the car. You don't want to be anything near anything tall, and you get into the police station won't help you and your patient because the police station, that building, could actually be at risk of falling too. So get you and your patient somewhere safe, away from trees, away from buildings, and get down to the bottom of the car. Question number 4. During a hurricane, the power goes out in your facility. What is the CNA's most immediate concern for residents? Is it A, ensuring all residents have access to their medications? B, providing flashlights to the residents? C, monitoring residents who depend on electrical medical equipment? D, locking doors to prevent residents from leaving? All right, I see a lot of answers coming through, and we'll reveal the correct response in 3, 2, and everybody has it. It is C. So we need to make sure that residents using ventilators, maybe they have concentrators for their oxygen and any other electrically powered equipment, you want to go check on them. Most of your facilities will have generators or backup power sources. And those important items should always be plugged into the red outlets. The red outlets, the reason why it's red is indicating that that has a backup power source in case of power failure. But you still have to go and check on those patients, because what if by chance that red outlet didn't work and your patient was on a vent? Okay, so you still want to go back and monitor just to make sure your patients are still receiving their therapies and their required treatment even during a power outage. Question number 5. You see a dark green sky and you hear a sound that reminds you of a train roaring down the tracks. What event is most likely occurring? Is it a hurricane, bomb, a loud train that's nearby, or a tornado? One of the disadvantages of working home care is the rain and the floods, and you are the caregiver who's out there in these different elements traveling to your patients. So this is an important video because it prepares you and it helps you to think beyond the bedside. So everybody, revealing the correct response in 3, 2, and if you said tornado, you are absolutely correct. So a sign of a tornado are the dark green skies, hail, a sound that mimics the sound of a train roaring down the track. And then it could be the sight of dark, large, low rotating or funnel shaped clouds. Question number 6. While evacuating residents during a flood, we just had a lot of floods in the United States due to these hurricanes. You notice one of your residents is missing. What should you do? A, return and look for the missing resident immediately. B, inform the nurse or emergency personnel. C, assume they evacuated themselves. Or D, wait until all other residents are evacuated. And that's right. Adelina, Kelly, K1, Zebony, 7A, Anna K for 2. You have it. Yes, you need to let that nurse know. The answer is B. It is essential to inform the appropriate personnel who can take action to locate the missing resident without jeopardizing the safety of the other residents. So you stay with the ones who were able to evacuate, and the nurse, EMS, they can go back and check for the others. Question number 7. While assisting a bedridden patient during a flood, what is the safest way to move them? A, lift them in your arms and carry them to safety. B, use a wheelchair to transport them. C, drag them on a blanket or use a transfer sheet. D, wait for emergency responders to arrive. All right, we'll reveal the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, and I have answers all across the board. I have B's, I have a C, I have a D. And so it looks like we're torn now between C's, D's, and B's. All right, so if somebody is bedridden, the safest way for you to transport them, because you can't just leave them there, you're going to do C. So great job, team. You're going to use a blanket or a transfer sheet. So using a transfer sheet or a blanket allows you to move a bedridden patient safely and efficiently, minimizing the risk of injury. If they're bedridden, they may not have the core strength to put them in a wheelchair. And unfortunately, there's not always a stretcher or a gurney. That's an old way of saying stretcher available. So if you don't have a stretcher, you can do a drag using a sheet or a blanket. Question number 8. Which of the following events is an example of a life-threatening situation? A, state of shock. B, poisoning. C, heavy bleeding. D, all of the above. And this one's super easy, so I expect everyone to get this answer right. And great job, lifesavers, all of the above. So life-threatening situations include choking, loss of airway. Some of the other ones that were discussed here was a state of shock. The blood pressures could be dropping. If someone has ingested something or inhaled something, that would be poisoning. And of course, heavy bleeding. Question 9. A resident uses oxygen. What should you ensure during a fire evacuation? So these are for my CNAs and my techs who are over there in California. Do you want to A, ensure that the oxygen is turned off? B, that they have enough oxygen for the duration? C, that their tank is placed near the fire extinguisher? D, their tank is left in their room. Your patient is oxygen dependent and you're evacuating due to a fire. I know this one's hard. What do you think? All right, let's see. Rose has given an answer for 2. K. Wong, Adelina, we'll wait for 3 more responses. And I am so proud of you all. That is right. It is B. You're going to make sure they have enough oxygen during the duration. And some of those oxygen tanks only last about 2 hours. So most of your facilities, all of your facilities by law, should have like an evacuation plan, and we should know where they are going. So hopefully the place where they're evacuating to isn't, further than an hour or so away. But if it is, you would need 2 tanks for that one patient. All right, question number 10. What is the CNA's role after an emergency evacuation? Is it A, document the incident thoroughly? B, provide emotional support to residents? C, assist with returning residents to their rooms? Or D, all of the above? And if I haven't told you how valuable you are as a nursing assistant, as a patient care tech, as a home health aide, what you do matters. It matters inside the hospital. It matters even when you are, taking care of residents in the community, because without you, they would not have the help that they need. So everybody, for question number 10, if you chose D, all of the above, you understand how important you are to healthcare. So CNAs play a vital role after the evacuation. Once we return those patients, you help with documentation, getting those vital signs, emotional support, resettling the residents in, cleaning them, feeding them, blah, blah, blah. So we appreciate all of your hard work. Go team. Question 11. In a nursing home, the charge nurse is found unconscious and no other nurses are present. Night shift is 1 nurse and 3 CNAs, hopefully. Who should the CNA contact first? A, the nursing supervisor or facility administrator. B, the patient's family members. C, another CNA for assistance, or D, emergency medical services? All right, and I'll give you about 5 seconds for this one because usually the answer is always contact the nurse. But what if the nurse is unconscious? Who do you contact then? Revealing the answer in five, four, three. Abigail said A or D. Two, and all right, revealing the answer. And looks like we have Betty and Rose and Abigail. Yes, we're calling 911, you all. You can contact the house supervisor afterwards, but that nurse needs immediate care. So when we say emergency medical services, if you're in a hospital, that means you're pressing a code. But this one specifically said you were in a nursing home. So nursing homes usually don't have their own in-house code team. You would have to call 911 for the medical services to come. So the CNA should call EMS immediately to ensure the charge nurse receives urgent medical attention. Once the EMS is contacted, the CNA can then notify the facility's nursing supervisor or administrator, and then he or she would have to come and take that nurse's place if they can't find another nurse, because we can't have a facility without a nurse in the building. Question number 12, everybody. I hope you're enjoying this test. I know it's something different, but I need you to think because the world is crazy. And with all this stuff that's happening lately, I need to make sure that you and your patients are safe. So, question number 12. A CNA working at a group home finds a teenager unresponsive in the pool. What should the CNA do first? A, call 911 immediately. B, pull the teenager out of the pool and begin CPR. C, pull the teenager out of the pool and turn him onto his side. D, call the charge nurse before acting. And I know you want to panic. It's a teenager. It's a kid. I don't care if it's a big teenager, somebody who's reached puberty. In our mind, it's a kid who's drowned. I need you to stay cool, calm, and collected. What do? Revealing the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, and Stephanie says, B, then call 911. Stephanie, woo! All right, so everybody, the correct response is what Stephanie said. The priority is to remove the individual from the water and start CPR immediately to attempt to revive them. While calling 911 is essential, it can be done by another person after initial life-saving efforts have begun. And for those of you all who may have wanted to turn him on his side, if he is not breathing and he does not have a pulse, and you turn him on his side to clear out his airway, because you didn't start CPR, what's happening to the blood flow to the brain? You tried to prevent him from getting pneumonia, but then he's going to be brain dead. So start CPR right away. Do those chest compressions. You don't have to do rescue breaths because, of course, if you put your mouth on his mouth, the pool contents, the contents from the pool plus his stomach contents can actually come up, and you can get that in your mouth, which is nasty. No CPR being performed because now you're freaking out. So just keep doing your high quality CPR. Chest compressions only until that nurse or more help comes with additional equipment. And then when the paramedics and emergency medical services get there, they can intubate, they can suction. So you're just the first link in a chain of people who are going to help to save this person's life. All right, so question number 13, team. In a hospital setting, what emergency code is generally used to indicate an infant abduction? Is it code pink, code purple, code amber, or code red? And I'm so proud of you all for studying with me on a Monday night. Look, this Monday has Monday. This has been a long day, so it's like Happy New Year. Come back to work. It's been busy. So, all right, revealing the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, And I see a few correct responses. So, this is new information for a lot of you. Whenever there is an infant abduction, it is code pink. So, a code pink is typically used in hospitals to alert staff of an infant abduction. This code initiates a lockdown. Oh, we're checking everything. No one in, no one out without being checked thoroughly, all bags, and other security measures to locate the infant quickly. All right, so this one's a long one. Question 14. You hear an announcement in your nursing home. It states Dr. Storm. Dr. Storm. Dr. Storm is your nursing home's code word for immediately implementing emergency tornado measures. What should you do now? A, move the patients to the top floor to avoid injury. B, open all of the windows to decrease the air pressure. C, pull the fire alarm so all the patients know that there is an emergency. D, move all the residents into the hallway. I see we're torn between C's and D's. All right, revealing the answer in 5, 4, 3. Yes, we're not torn anymore. Everyone started selecting D, which is correct. You must move all of the residents into the hallway so they are not near windows. When that is done, you should then close all of the windows and the patient door so debris does not fly into the hall where the residents are. The lowest, not the highest floor, is the safest. Also, fire alarms are only for fire, so you would not pull the fire alarm. Question 15. You are working and hear the operator page code gray on your unit. What does this mean in most institutions? A call for male staff to handle a violent patient. B, a call for additional personnel to handle an unruly patient. C, a call for police to handle a violent patient. Or D, a call for evacuation due to threatening weather. Code gray, third floor. Code gray, third floor. What does that mean, team? Poor men. All the ladies are choosing A. Sorry, ladies, in healthcare, we are the majority. So we just don't call for the male staff. It is going to be B, you all. All right, all the ladies are like, we're calling Big Mike. Big Mike needs to get here. But a code gray is usually paid to get additional personnel, regardless of their sex, to de-escalate a potentially dangerous situation involving an out-of-control individual, primarily a patient. Remember, code answer A was not correct because it doesn't matter the sex of the person who's ever working there. If we call a code, regardless of the sex, they're going to be coming, to hopefully help you. We find that whenever there is a violent patient, the more people who respond, the less likely this person is to escalate. But if it's just you one-on-one with a violent person, they could hurt you. If you try to protect yourself and you hit them, you could lose your license. So you should always be trying to get help. And if there's not enough members on your actual floor, the secretary will put out a code gray, and that would get staff from other units to your floor. All right, question number 16. While working in a hospital, a CNA hears an announcement for an active shooter in the building. What should the CNA do first? A, run toward the nearest exit to leave the hospital. B, confront the shooter to protect others. C, call 911 to report the situation. D, hide in a locked room with patients if possible. I know this one's hard because, we're like, we want to save everybody. But the best way to save everybody is to also save your patients and yourself. So what is the best answer? That's right, Chrissy, Darlene, Barbara, Anna Kay, and Delma. We're going to hide. So, in an active shooter situation, the priority is to protect oneself and others by hiding in a secure location, lock the door, silence devices, and stay quiet until help arrives. And yes, the medical field, nurses and CNAs, we are oftentimes abused by patients. And so you will learn eventually how to handle a violent patient, someone who's cursing you out, how to handle all these emergencies. But as long as you work as a team, you are less likely to be injured. So again, we don't go one on one with patients. We de escalate, we walk out the room. We don't stay in a room with somebody who's upset. All right, so question 17. One of your residents, Mr. Stevens, has had a change in condition. His skin is moist and cold. You take his pulse and measure 142 beats per minute. His respirations are 40 breaths per minute. You notify the nurse. What condition is Mr. Stevens likely suffering from? Is it aspiration, apnea, shock, or seizure? I can't wait for these answers to roll in. Let's see what you got. Let's see. All right, we're torn between C and D. So revealing the answer in three, two, and if you chose C, you have it. Remember, with a seizure, usually it's not going to cause their heart rate to go up to 142. And what were some of the other persons? The respiration rates were 40 per minute. With a seizure, they will have involuntary contractions or movements, and you just move the items out of the way. Try to keep them as safe as possible. But this person is more than likely experiencing shock. So maybe it's due to depleted volume, dehydration, blood loss, but their heart is pumping so fast because it's trying to circulate whatever blood it has throughout that body in order to give this person the oxygen that they need. So the increase in breathing and pulse and cool, moist skin suggests shock. And so that is a medical emergency. And of course, you had already notified your nurse, but at least you would know what's happening. I think a lot of time with CNA, sometimes you're afraid to ask the nurse what's happening, or maybe the nurse, and sometimes we're not as nice. So I want you to be encouraged. It's okay. You're going to find that perfect nurse buddy who is going to be okay with answering your questions, because the more you know, the better care our patients will receive. All right. So question number 18, team. CNA is leaving the hospital after a late shift. And this has happened to me before. And here's gunfire in the parking lot. What do you do next? A, run directly to their vehicle and drive away. B, call hospital security immediately. C, hide behind the nearest solid object for cover. D, confront the shooter to stop the threat. All right, I know none of you are going to do D. Revealing the correct response in 5, 4, 3, 2, and that is right. You need to hide. So the correct response is C. Taking cover is the safest option in an open area. The CNA should stay out of sight and only move to safety when the area is secure. Once you're hidden, you're out of sight, that's when you can call 911. Some of the hospital parking areas will have panic buttons so that you can alert security. But believe me, security heard those gunshots too. And a lot of your hospitals have police actually at the hospital. So I just need you to protect yourself until those who have more experience and who can actually investigate come and let you know it's okay for you to leave. Question 19 involves run, hide, and fight. So, what is the run, hide, and fight protocol during an active shooter situation? And because this is so long, I'm going to give you about 15 seconds to read it and then put your answer in the chat. All right, I see some answers coming through. And I'll wait for 2 more responses because this was long. Yes, you all have it. So run, hide, and fight is what you do if there's an active shooter or someone who is trying to injure you or your patients. It is B. The run, hide, and fight protocol emphasizes prioritizing personal safety by fleeing first, hiding if escape is not an option, and only fighting as a last resort to save lives. Question 20. Mr. Allen is independent for ambulation. Mrs. Wilson is partial weight bearing and uses a wheelchair. Mr. Berry is bedbound and cannot transfer or move independently. You must evacuate your unit. None of the residents are in immediate danger. Who should you move second? Is it Mr. Allen, Mrs. Wilson, Mr. Berry, or any of the residents can be moved second? So now we're triaging. You got to figure out who you move first, second, and third. So this one's asking, who do you move second? So one can walk, one uses a wheelchair, one is bedbound. Who do you evacuate second? Revealing the answer in 3, 2, and yes, it is Mrs. Wilson. Yes, it is B. So we're going to move ambulatory residents first as they can move quickly. Then you assist those who need a wheelchair. You put them in a wheelchair, you whisk them out. And then finally, staff can then concentrate all their efforts on moving the bedbound residents who will require most assistance. So great job, lifesavers. All right, so this one, question 21, is similar. Who would you move last? Would it be Mr. Allen, Mrs. Wilson, Mr. Berry, or any of the residents can be moved last? And I hope this video prompts you to go to work, to go to school, to ask questions, to be thinking about what to do in an emergency, especially if your facility isn't talking about it. The time to prepare is before an emergency, not during an emergency. So if you chose Mr. Berry, see, you're absolutely correct because you want to move, again, all the ambulatory residents first, but he would be moved last because he is bedbound. True or false? A nurse who falls on concrete during a snowstorm and develops frostbite should immediately rub the affected area to restore circulation. What do you think, team? True or false? I'm smiling. I'm seeing some answers coming through. I see a lot of falses. I see some truths. And so I'll reveal the answer when we get 5 more responses. All right. I see more truths. And now I see, so it's even. All right, team. So it is false. You cannot rub a frostbitten area. So rubbing frostbitten skin can further damage it. I know you want to increase circulation, but this is damage due to the cold. The proper action is to warm the area gradually using lukewarm water or body heat and seek medical attention. So we do not massage anything that is frozen or frostbitten. Question 23. Once CPR is started, how long does it continue? A, until a physician pronounces the person dead. B, until you determine the person is dead. C, until you have permission from a physician to stop. D, until everyone feels that they have done as much as possible. Or E, both A and C. I have you thinking with this one. And yes, everybody has it right. You don't stop until someone relieves you, or the scene becomes unsafe, or until the doctor pronounces death. We don't pronounce death, not even a nurse. So the answer is E. So a physician must determine when CPR can be stopped. A physician has the final determination when to stop CPR and pronounce the person dead. So again, you can stop. Let's say that help never comes because you're out in the woods. So you can stop if you are exhausted. You can stop if the scene becomes unsafe, a shooter comes back. You can stop if the person achieves ROS. That's the goal for them to start moving, right? But then in a hospital scenario or a nursing home, if a doctor is there, you would keep going until that doctor tells you otherwise. All right, question 24. We got one more left. And if you stayed this long, give the video a like, a thumbs up. All right, question 24. You hear in report that Mr. Green, one of your residents, is being prepared for transfer to the hospital because he's in respiratory failure. This means A, he is breathing, but is not, but it's not enough to sustain him. B, he has stopped breathing. C, his respirations are very rapid. Or D, he is having a myocardial infarction. So the key word is respiratory failure. What does that mean? All right, I see some answers coming through. And not only do I see answers coming through, I am seeing the correct answers coming through. So, respiratory failure, he needs to get out of your nursing home. He needs to go to the hospital because, more than likely, again, he may need to be intubated. Maybe he needs special treatments that your facility can't provide, because respiratory failure means that he is not getting enough oxygen. So, whatever, how fast or how slow he's breathing, it is not sufficient to sustain life. All right, so our last question, team. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for staying all the way through. In severe heat waves, and this is true or false, in severe heat waves, elderly patients are more vulnerable to dehydration and heat stroke, even if they are indoors. Is that true or false? All right, revealing the answer in 5, 4, 3, 2, and I have a lot of truths. Yes, you all, that is correct. So, older adults are more susceptible to heat related illnesses due to reduced ability to regulate body temperature and potential underlying health conditions. And so, you all, great job, lifesavers. Again, I hope this video just made you think outside the box, to think about what to happen during what happens during an emergency. What is your role? What's your nurse's role? We are here to take care of each other and to take care of our patients. So I know that I'll be back on Wednesday night, probably about the same time, 8 p.m. And I will post a video. That will be a video for CNAs. And then on Thursday, I will be posting a video for our nursing students. So yes, even though it's not on the community tab yet, I'll be back on Wednesday at 8 and Thursday at 8. So you all, it is Nurse Eunice. Thank you all for studying with me. I love you. I wish you much success with your CNA exams, your nursing careers, and I will see you in the next video.